My sister's here also, by the way.
Hello, Anna, sister.
Yeah.
Birds, boards, games, it's what we're talking about. Boards, games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing, and over there you will see a wonderful person who has joined me, Anna Wassenburn from the Netherlands. And you can see the dancing began. Anna reviews games more than one or two. It's just become something that Anna likes to do. For the Dice Tower and Budget Spellen. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but let's move on. Boards, games, and Anna Wassenburg is what we're talking about. Boards, games, and Anna Wassenburg. I'm not gonna shout. Hello, good morning,
Yes.
or good afternoon, or whatever. And hello, Xate. It's lovely to see you. Who says I'm going to try and pronounce this, and then you can tell me how it's actually pronounced. Guten Morgen.
How you pronounce it is actually German, because you said Guten Morgen, and what in Dutch is Goedemorgen.
Guten Morgen. Okay. And presume you can just tell if you know German and English. Okay, that's clearly good morning. Dit is spannend.
Dit is spannend.
Dit is spannend.
Your pronunciation is really German. It's so funny.
Dit is spannend.
Yeah.
What does this mean?
It means this is exciting, I guess, or more exciting, more like a little bit not frightening, but more frightening, exciting.
Okay. Laten we best Nederlands laten verletzen.
Laten we best Nederlands laten voorlezen. What do you think it says?
I think I'm going to get Bez to speak Netherlands.
Yeah, it's like let's read. Let's let Bez read Netherlands.
Just from context and from knowing, perfekt jetzt verwundernd verbes mit Deutsch ebenfalls.
Ja, genau. Also perfekt jetzt verwirren, während wir
Oh wait, that's actually German.
Yeah, that's actually German. I'm also German, so
okay.
That's why I can do it.
Fair enough, and that is totally fair. As long as it's all good-natured, you're allowed to be slightly mean. So as you might have discovered, Anna is I'm not going to say our resident, but is our guest speaker from the Netherlands. You're not here to talk for all Danish people. Sorry, Dutch people. Sorry, I'm sorry I keep on messing up those words. And hello, Nicholas. And yeah, I am Bez. It is morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. This is another episode of Bezzy Beats and Board Game Blether. I am doing it every day at 10 a.m. UK time. This is episode 295, but remember, after episode 300, I'm going to take a short break of a few days. And so, yeah, today we are meeting Anna Wassenburg, which I'm really excited about, having this lovely person. I believe we first met at UK Games Expo, I want to say.
Yeah, 3 years ago. I just thought about it. I was like, when did I meet Bez? This is probably relevant in his stream.
Oh, yeah.
When it was? Well, it was 3 years ago at UKGE. It was actually my first time there. And was kind of exciting also for me because it was like my first time going somewhere abroad alone, I guess, which was, it was a little bit scary, I guess, also. But it went well. Met some lovely people like you.
Oh, thank you very much. And yeah, I'm not going to even try to defend myself. I just get confused sometimes. That's the way it is. But let's look, what we're going to do today, like it says on the banner, we are going to find out more about this lovely individual who is a reviewer, a board gamer, part editor-in-chief of Budget Spellen and contributor to the Dice Tower network. And yeah, how is life for you generally? What's your first memories? We'll go through all that in just a moment. But of course, we're going to start up with recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. I have been enjoying a wee bit of My City, which I see is just behind you. I'm up to... I've just put down the stickers to start chapter 7. So
I'm there as well, yeah. So we cannot spoil each other.
You have not finished it either.
No, I have not finished it. I got it a couple of weeks ago. I'm playing with my boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much of chapter... No spoilers, but how many... Have you played any of chapter 7?
I don't think so. No. I'm just with those... I don't want to spoil anything for other person, but I'm there with the purple tiles. You know what I'm talking about.
And so... We'll talk about that maybe off the stream, or just kind of once it's all done. I'm going to just, once I've played through the whole thing, I'm going to do a long review. I'll start off non-spoiler, and then I'll get into mild spoilers, and then I'll get into extreme spoilers.
But have you been enjoying it?
I have been enjoying it. It's interesting because I came up to my parents' house just before Christmas, and here... it's difficult to get them to play a lot of things. And one nice thing about a legacy game is that, the nature of a legacy game is you don't need to keep teaching totally different rules, but you can tweak new things. My mom actually is quite dismissive in a lot of ways, says, oh, why would you buy a new game when we already have a game that we enjoy, which my mum means Rummy. My mom basically just means, why are we not playing Rummy? I want to play Rummy every day and not play anything else. And for me, yeah, I'm willing to play that sometimes, but it's not the most exciting thing.
Not
and
hello,
Yoda. It is lovely to see you. But then we're playing it. We've gotten up to this point, which I didn't think we would get to. For sure, there's one parent might have, okay, can you remind me, is this how this behaves? And like rules that were there from chapter 1, I want to say, and some rules get added, some rules get removed. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that much, but it's definitely, as you might expect, it does get more complex, and it's allowing us to build this story together. There's definitely lots of mixed emotions, because whilst legacy games are beautiful, I do sometimes wonder, why couldn't more things be like the Fast Forward series, like Fabled Fruit, and be a campaign game where it still has that story, but you can reset it?
Yeah, I also I enjoyed Fabled Fruit. This is a good one that you just mentioned. And the thing that I just like about My City, it's just legacy games can be kind of daunting. It really feels like something that's more for the real gamer. So I really loved that with this one. Is it Anna Wassenburn that made it?
Rainer Knizia.
I thought it was one of the two. Yes, that's our review of it from Dick. So the thing that's just amazing, I think, about My City is it's just so easy. It is for those Rummy players. It is for those people that don't play that much games. It is so easy, and it's just this family experience. And that's what I really enjoy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I really like the negative feedback loop. I did spoil myself, I'm going to say. I had a peek ahead to all the envelopes, because there was a point very early on where I was like, okay, we've played 4 more games than we are meant to, because people are having confusion. We had to play some extra games without putting any dots on, just so that people could get their head around it.
Yeah.
But it is, as you say, simple enough to get into it, to enjoy it with everyone. It's a wonderful city. It's a wonderful game.
It's just fun to build, and I like the planning of it, that's always what I like about tile laying games. I've always said it's like, even if you don't win, you have something to look down upon for which you can be proud that you built that. You're like, Isle Sky with Sky. Look at what I made. It looks lovely. It's a tiny island, or whatever you've built. and that's just a positive feeling. And I like when games do that, when it's not just all about the winning, but it will give you a positive experience regardless of that.
Whoops, 100%. And going from My City to, what have you been enjoying recently?
So recently, just have to think what I've been enjoying, because it is My City what I've been enjoying. But just have to.
Oh well, then it can be both our things. That's
great. What I've also been enjoying is Paleo. Have you played that one?
I haven't.
So it is. For me, it felt like an easier version of Robinson Crusoe. So it's like a cooperative game where you have to survive. It also looks lovely. I mean, look at that! Look at that box.
Nice.
And you have to survive with your clan in like prehistoric time, I guess, and or the Stone Age. And it has different kind of modules. So every game you use 2 modules, and that makes the winning conditions different. But it's still very easy, and you have everyone has this deck of cards, which is shuffle every round. So you play with the same cards, and the backs tell something about what you can see on the other side, or some little information about what you can find. But you're not sure, of course, what you're gonna find. So every time you have to think about, okay, am I going to turn this card, or maybe I'm going to wait, because you can also look at all the other cards that are coming up. Nice. The backs of it, you cannot see the front. So you can think okay, maybe I will go for this, but this will cost me resources probably, and I need some help from the other players. So you have this interesting dynamic without it making the game overly hard. Because it's just every time you think about, okay, I have these 3 cards, are the next ones, which one am I going to turn from these 3 cards? So it's very easy. And it's just something I like, when just the rules are clear.
Yeah, you mentioned this in your bio, and hello, Elaine. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
And other highlights that I've had, moving a little bit away from general board games. I did get this in the posts this morning. I'm very excited because I'm kind of adding to my collection all the things that I missed over the past 6 years. Is it graphic novel, or what? Yes, Usagi Ojimbo. It's my favorite comic ever. And I just love it. It's got such nicely developed characters. The other thing is, I did play a game for the L deck, which was Bidabel, which is originally by Xate and Alex Cannon. And Alex and I have been discussing some possible changes. So we've made some big changes to it, where okay, you don't score your biggest suits and then the second biggest suits. Instead, you score the 3 things that are left in your hand. And played this a couple of times. I mean, I'm going to admit, there's a lot of love in the household, and I'm very spoiled in some ways that I can say, hey, I made up this thing. Would you be willing to give it a try? And if I ask nicely, and maybe I make sure, then my parents will be like, okay, sure, we'll play a quick game of that. As I'm not going to put a 2-hour game in front of them, do you know what I mean? Or even a 1-hour game. But if it's a short thing, then sure, they will give it a go. And it was really interesting to play through that.
Fun. Yeah.
But if anyone else has any recent highlights, then feel free to share. Otherwise, let's move on and talk about our brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? Okay, I've heard a lot of talk about the Netherlands. And some people have told me that it is brilliant.
What?
Yes. I mean, I hear Xate all the time saying, hey, can you speak Dutch? Can you, Emzaya, like Emma, what's Emma's real name? I can't remember.
Emma, she's called Emma from Pointless Parrots.
Pointless Parrots, So Emma, Pointless Parrots, Emma has the whole thing of, hey, for some channel points, I will speak Dutch. And people are, I want you to speak Dutch. Why is Dutch such a brilliant thing? Why is Dutch something that you would puts in your name, like Dutch Yoda? Why is it like Dutch such a... I mean, sure, wait. I was going to say Copenhagen, but Copenhagen's from Denmark, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the capital of the Netherlands?
Okay, I'm gonna let you try to guess and say some general things about what our capital is known for. Okay, so it has the red light district.
Oh, Amsterdam. Okay.
There you go. I mean, I had to think of something red, of course, you know, to say in the theme of you.
Okay. Anxiety says, to be fair, she wanted to learn Dutch primarily because of people who may or may not currently be reading this. That is fair. And Dutch Yoda apparently stole that idea from Emma for Dutch Yoda's channel. That is fair enough, like everyone sharing and taking all the best ideas. But yeah, surely that can't be the only great thing about Amsterdam. I hear that, yes, some people like the permissive nature to certain drugs or whatever, but I hear that there's some pretty cool museums and architecture there. What else is going on?
In Amsterdam, I mean, one of the things in general, what I really enjoy about the Netherlands is that it feels like you're still in this tiny Europe, because, you know, like the Dutch, if you've not already known, it's the population with the tallest people. So we have the tallest people in the world, but everything like in the Netherlands is very tiny. You have these tiny little cobble streets with these with all of these 16th, 17th century buildings that all are slanted a little bit like this. So when you look up, you see all of the buildings stand like this, and with this very cute little, houses on top of them. And it's just also so small. And you have all of the water and the moats and stuff like that. And it's just, that is what I like. The flatness also, and all of the water and the rivers that you have, and the nature. It's calm. Even though Netherlands was only 60 million people in it. No.
Have you ever been to Venice? Because that's got like all the canals and the flatness and.
Yeah, but Venice is more like the more of the Baroque and Italian. You know, with these white buildings and very much more open. And in the Netherlands, you feel a little bit more like you're still in that 17th century Europe with more of the Middle Ages vibe, I guess you'd say.
So I am fairly convinced, because what I'm getting the vibe of, and hello, Alex, it is lovely to have you join us.
Hi.
So it feels like Venice might be the kind of more touristy form of having all the rivers running through, whereas if you go around Netherlands, you get all the rivers running through. Maybe not as many rivers as there are canals in Venice, but for sure, you get the joy of that. You get the joy of cycling around, but yeah, it's more like a real place where you can actually live and not have to work in the tourist industry.
Exactly. But that's just a funny thing that you said that, because I was born on a ship. The first 3 years of my life, I've lived on a boat, because my parents actually do work in tourism. They organize holidays where people live on the ship, because my dad is the captain and my mother cooks. So they did these holidays through the Netherlands. So I've seen a lot of the Netherlands from the water, with also the cycling. So they do like cycling and going through the canals and everything.
I agree with Elaine. That is pretty darn awesome. I have never met anyone else who I know was born on a ship.
Yeah.
And apparently, I did not know this. This is an amazing... Wait a minute. Is that more canals per square meter, though? Because I can believe Birmingham has more canals than Venice, but does it have more canals per square meter, or is it just more canals in the city? Because Birmingham might be bigger than Venice as well. I guess the other thing is that because Venice is incredibly flat, in Birmingham you can walk over the canal, maybe on another level, if you know what I mean. You're going over the bridge, and you don't even notice it because the canal, yeah.
I've just been looking it up, but Amsterdam also has more canals than Venice, and also more bridges and islands, connected
But
islands.
is it per square meter, or is it? Because remember, Venice
It has
is really...
over 100 kilometers of canals. I'm just looking right now what the internet is telling me.
Because that's the thing. Like, look, if we have 10 times as many cyclists dying in London, let's use a random statistic as Glasgow. I'm not saying this is a true statistic. This is just a statistic I'm making up. But if we have 10 times as many people dying in London based in Glasgow, that would mean it's actually safer to cycle in London because there's way more than 10 times as many cyclists. It's all relative.
Yeah, it says here Amsterdam has 25% of Amsterdam is water.
Wow. That is pretty darn awesome.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I do totally get what you're meaning, Alex, that you want like multiple but yeah, anyway. I think that I would really like to visit, maybe even before I leave Europe.
Over.
Are you inviting me to stay over?
Yeah, I mean, Essen is like 2 hours away from Amsterdam.
Is it? And
yeah.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, I live in Leiden, which is like in half an hour from Amsterdam, beneath it. It's like a tinier version of Amsterdam, which is less touristy. So it has the canals and the grachten and the historical buildings, but it is not as massive.
What is the grachten?
Grachten, that is like the canals, but then like the old historical, an old historical canal.
I mean, you can cycle around London by all the canals, but they are kind of stinky and a lot of them are a bit gross. I'm not going to lie.
Like last weekend, everything was frozen over. Thank you, Dutch Jonah. I agree.
So what I'm hearing is that does Leiden have its own airport?
No, definitely not. It has like 80,000 people that live in it, I guess. So definitely not. But it's like 20 minutes from Schiphol Airport, which is the Amsterdam airport.
You can find old sailor treasures in the rivers of London, though, says Elaine.
It's always very funny. They because there's Leiden is a student town, just like Amsterdam, and all of the moats they're just filled with bicycles because that's the other thing, of course, about the Netherlands.
That's not a treasure.
Yeah, but every year they have to muck up all of the stuff, and it's just amazing to look at everything that comes out from the bottoms. It's just, you always think like, okay, the next thing they're going to pull out is like a drunk student that's just been lying there for,
Oh my gosh. Wow. I do really like bicycles, but I just would prefer to have one that's not rusted up and is actually in working condition. That's my personal take on it.
That would work, yeah. That you can move on it.
But I think we've agreed that Netherlands does sound pretty brilliant. Leiden does sound amazing. So what I've decided is I need to fly into Amsterdam, maybe spend a couple of days
before we go to Essen.
Then come to Leiden, and then, I was genuinely thinking that next Essen, like if Essen were able to safely happen in 2021, I don't believe it will. Like, what do you think? Let me actually remove the banner. But if it does happen, I will fly in, and then I will probably go as a punter and not go as an exhibitor this year.
Yeah. So I think, it's October. It's the end of October. So it depends mostly on how Germany will go with the vaccines and stuff like that. But I think if it will go through, it will be more kind of a local thing. So that it's maybe just for Germans, or maybe just for people that, don't have to fly in. So maybe the Netherlands as well. And it's just more local publishers and stuff like that. Because that would be feasible, for everyone involved, and you still can do something, but it's just more for the local market.
And I don't know whether to take this as sarcasm or truth. That Lelystad is boring.
It's a town that they built for all of the people that cannot afford to live in Amsterdam.
Okay. And Elaine gives a shout out to all the pottery from the 18th and 19th century and all the metals that people might go searching in the banks.
You can find so many amazing things there. It's just crazy.
Let's go through some questionably quick questions. So if anyone has any questionably quick questions for Anna Wassenburn, then please get them into chats right now. Of course, during the show, you can feel free to carry on asking questions. But now, if you ever wondered what is Anna's favorite carrot, I mean, does Anna have a favorite carrot? I'm going to ask that.
Tiny carrots. I just love. My refrigerator is full of them. Like whole packages of tiny carrots, 500 grams. I will work them away like crazy. They're gone in 10 minutes. Love
okay,
them.
The first question I do always ask, I think we've already established this, but where exactly are you? What time is it?
So I am in Leiden. I'm here with my sister, who's sitting over there, and my cat is also somewhere. And it's 11:26 a.m. here right now, and that's the condition. And it's lovely weather. I'm looking out onto the water and the nature.
Wow!
Hearing birds.
That just sounds beautiful. Flashback to going through the banks of the canal. Yoda mentions that last time Yoda searched through the banks, security kicked Yoda out.
Wait, how can you... Oh, banks, as in a bank where you try to steal money?
Yeah, that's a terrible pun, but I really love it.
I'm just gonna sigh for the whole public here.
No, I'm going to give Yoda points. We reward puns here. Sate asks, what's the sound of your favorite color?
The sound of my favorite color. Okay, so I first have to think about what my favorite color is and what kind. I guess a hissing, like a zzz, like going away sound, like passing you very quickly and moving on to the next exciting thing. That would be the sound of my favorite color.
Alex asks, would you rather have a duck-sized stroopwafel or a stroopwafel-sized duck?
Ooh, I love eating though, so I would definitely go for a duck-sized stroopwafel. I mean, how amazing would that look, right? I mean, and I can eat it. A duck, I would not eat. Stroopwafels, I would.
But you don't have to eat the duck. You can keep it as a pet.
That is true, though. But it would be a stroopwafel sized, though. So it would be like a tiny, tiny duck. Doesn't mean it looks like a stroopwafel. You know what a stroopwafel is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'll have you know that I have been given stroopwafels.
Very good.
Very kind, one of the owners of Dice and Ink. Inkwell Games.
Nice.
Now, what time did you wake up this morning?
I woke at 6:30. Yes.
Is that normal for you?
So normally I get up at 6 to go to the hospital where I work at. So it's pretty normal, but I was disappointed. It's weekend.
You want to sleep in a wee bit if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you eaten
But I
yet?
made some, I am. So that's why, because then it's like we have to do something which is productive. So we made some pancakes.
Nice.
Dutch pancakes. Also for my sister and my boyfriend. Was very good.
Wow, my mouth is watering.
Yeah, it was applesauce and one with cheese and bacon. Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, talking about food, what's your favorite thing to eat or drink whilst playing board games?
I really like blue M&Ms.
Blue M&Ms?
You know, not like the color, but like the package, the blue M&Ms.
Oh, I thought you were doing this thing where, some people say, oh, someone had a rider where I think it was some pop artist where you could only have one color of M&M and the...
No, I'm not.
Is that the crispy ones? The ones with the crispy middle?
Exactly, yeah. Love them. They make my tummy ache, but I love them.
And hello, Picky Boer. It is lovely to have you join us. And Picky Boer asks, which one do you prefer, sci-fi or drama?
Sci-fi, all day, every day.
What's your favorite writing instrument?
Writing instrument. Let me think about that. I like a pen, which has a little bit more, not a very sharp point, but more of a round point. So you can make like nice, letters. That's my favorite writing instrument. But just one that I got from someone, because I work in a hospital and pens are just like common ground for everyone. You can just grab and you will never keep your pen. So just a pen that is lying around where you can write stuff down that you need at that point. That's my favorite writing instrument. That is one that is just there. You can use it.
Just the best writing instrument is the one you have in your hands.
The one that you need at that moment to write down your thoughts before they are fleeting away.
If you were able to make a wish, but it had to be about socks, what would your sock-themed wish be?
To have ones that are not always non-slippery. So you don't need like shoes. You can just walk on socks outside, and they don't get wet as well.
But I was going to say, like, that's the issue with going outside just in socks. They're going to get wet, they're going to get cold, they're going to get dirty, and if there's like a little bump, like little pebble, shoes are going to protect your feet a wee bit more than socks. Yeah. Why are you so against shoes?
Because no, it's not that I'm against shoes. It's more like it would be fun because most of the time your socks are things that have like nice patterns on it, and it shows a little bit of your personality. So it would be fun to just be able to wear socks outside, with fun things on them.
I feel like the other wish that you could make was that shoes should be as bright and colorful as socks, and shoes could be a bit more like socks.
Yeah, could be as well. But then why would you still put on socks? I mean, they're unique in their own way. Then they're just kind of the same.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, let's talk about a few of your favorite games. Tell me like just 2 or 3 of your favorite games.
So I really enjoy Pandemic. I love co-op games. And Pandemic is one of the first games that I got into as a co-op game. And I've just all of the different experience that I've had with this game have always been amazing. From the Legacy, the first time,
all the expansions and all the legacies.
The first time I've experienced Legacy was with Pandemic, and it stays with you in your heart.
So when that bleep 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 happens, that's just such a major moment in season 1.
Yeah, and and also the experience that you've had with different friends in different phases in your life when you've played that certain game of Pandemic or that certain season when it's about those Legacy versions.
I mean, it's just an interesting thing because I know that one of my friends, when I said, "Oh, I'm going to review this thing," and someone whose parents had been taken by the current pandemic said, "Hey, this is a bit too close to home. Why are you? Is that not appropriate?" And I was like, "Well, in a way, I cannot actually. I hadn't thought about that before. I'm going to be honest, but I've got an opinion. But I'd like to hear your opinion on this first about people playing games about this or." Indeed, other medical emergencies when it might be really close to home.
Yeah, I get that for people. For me, because I'm studying to be a doctor, of course, when I play Pandemic, I always want to be the doctor role. So for me, I think it's fun to be able to play a game that incorporates things that you do in real life. But I do agree with some of these sentiments, because I have this with like World War II games, because my family is German, so from my mother's side. So for me, the whole Second World War thing is very different than for other people in like the Netherlands and stuff like that, where they're more like the Germans are evil and stuff like that. So for me, Second World War games always they hit too close to home, and I just don't enjoy them. So I do get this. That are certain themes for people that just don't feel comfortable, and that's okay.
Their own judgments, and
yeah,
it doesn't. But that, let's sidestep that issue for now, and let's get back to what are some of your other favorite games.
Some of my other favorite games. Yeah, it's a little bit always of a cheesy answer, but it also depends on the group that I'm playing with. So for me, I definitely play games because of the social aspect. So one of the joys that I have with board gaming is just when I have a group of people that have not played that many games, to find the game that would work perfect with that group, and just seeing them enjoying it and just totally, experience the joy that I experience when I play board games. Mm-hmm. So that is a big part of why I like board games. Just being able to do something together and create those memories and have meaningful interactions with people, I guess, that I love. But some other, I think I play a lot of different games. So, for example, Terraforming Mars, love that game. It's one of my favorite, more heavy games, I guess. And it's definitely a game I played later in my gaming life career, whatever you would call it, because the people that played it tend to be people that are not people that I would normally play games with. But then I found out, okay, this game is actually good. I've just not been playing with the right people. That can sometimes happen. So I definitely think the games that I do have tend to be more on the lighter side, but I also have like Teotihuacan and Rising Sun, Blood Rage. I mean, those kind of games I've also played and also enjoyed with miniatures, because I also paint miniatures. But Azul is also one of the games that I just love playing.
Yeah, Azul has definitely lots of interesting decisions to make, and I think that even once you feel like, okay, I've worked out exactly what to do, you flip the board to the other side, and it definitely gives the game a second life almost.
Yeah, and also just what I've also said in my introduction, which you guys can see scrolling around so perfectly because Bez organized everything so good, is that I tend to enjoy games that have a very clear rule set but have an interesting twist and people can immediately get it. And I always love that moment in people's eyes when they get the twist. So with Pandemic, for example, the moment they realize the cards that are in the discard pile will go on top of them, so the cities will come back.
Such nice elements, yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of moments when games can do that, that is what I enjoy. That are the games that I tend to love.
I mean, how simple do you go? Are you a fan of The Mind?
No, The Mind is a game that I do not enjoy. So it can be very simple because for example, like Happy Salmon, I love that game. I will play that with you so many times. I love. I can do chaotic games like that. But The Mind, for me, it's like I've done some acting, in the past or high schools, and The Mind is also kind of exercise that you do to train yourself with the people that you're playing with when you're in theater. So for me, it was like, this is something that I've always done. So why is everyone so blown away by this? It's an activity for actors, for when you're in theater.
yeah, I guess I can't remember the game. Like, there's an actor game where, okay, I come up with a word, you come up with a word, and then we say the word, and let's go. Okay, are you ready? On the count of 0. 3, 2, 1, scissors.
Oh, I have to say a word.
Yes.
Cat.
Okay, and then we try and say some word in the center, and then we go again. 3, 2, 1.
Bottle.
Tail. Bottle. Okay, so bottle and tail, what's kind of in the middle? And then 3, 2, 1. Bottom.
Straight.
Bottom and straight. This could get quite rude. But yeah, so that was redone and remade as Medium, but that's very much based on another improv game. And the improv game, for the card game, do you need that? Do you need all these extra rules?
I mean, when it introduces people to something that they've not introduced, goodbye. Why not? I mean, I always hate it when people like gatekeep games. If it is something people enjoy, they should enjoy it. And of course, for me, I hope when people really love Monopoly, for me as a person, of course, I hope that I can introduce them to something which I find is better than Monopoly, or will give them more joy. But I've always just hated the idea of saying no. You should not be playing that. It's not a joyful.
I mean, it can. Yeah, gatekeeping is definitely an issue, and I definitely want to come back to that because it feels like with Budget Spell, your entire mission statement of showing it to other people, where have I got it? Where it says, introducing young adults to the wonderful world of board gaming. And yes, Monopoly is part of this world. It's just, on the periphery. Like if someone says, you know what, I really like, I'm trying to think, I was about to say Beatles, but that's different because the Beatles are actually still good even today.
I love them.
I'm trying to think of, let's say if someone was saying, oh, I really love Citizen Kane. It's so tense and like all cuts are really dramatic and like there's a really exciting story. And then he might say, like films have actually moved on quite a bit since Citizen Kane. Don't get me wrong, Citizen Kane is really good and there's a lot of work. But if you like that, you might also be interested in some more modern films.
Exactly. You should see it as a stepping point to move to somewhere else. And I just also, because there are also like these board game stores that are like, I don't sell Monopoly and I don't sell, the traditional games that you can see in a kid store. And of course, there can be most of the time the sentiment that I taste a little bit behind that is more like of resentment, or that is not the kind of games that we want. Whereas
parts of it is because if you are playing board games, people are unfamiliar with board games, and people say, "Oh, do you mean like Monopoly?" And I think it's that question brings a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, also the other thing about games is that games need a lot more inputs. They can go a lot longer. Let's say the best known film was a 8-hour Bollywood movie. Like, I'm not going to say that Bollywood is bad by any means, but let's say people were like, okay, you like film? Do you like films? So do you mean like Lord of the Rings, all the extended editions put together as one like 12-hour epic or whatever it would be? And they're like, I like films, but maybe not exactly like that. I don't like fantasy. Maybe you do like fantasy, but I don't know. I have a lot of resentment for the fact that those games can drag on. The we don't need to go there. And Kathleen Mercury and I talked all about the fact that so many people buy it as mementos and souvenirs, but it's not actually played, and that's fair. But
and that's, I think, a little bit, that's the hard thing about it, it gives a stigma or an image that you don't really want as a board gaming community, that you play, that it is only Monopoly. And that's the hard thing about it, to try to suppress that when people ask you that question. And I always try to think about, okay, but what did you like about Monopoly? What is the thing that you enjoyed about that game? And then I can move the conversation away from Monopoly in a positive way, I guess. So that's how I tackle it, but it's difficult.
Yeah, but I 100% agree with you that if someone says, hey, I really love Monopoly, don't say, oh, Monopoly's actually not that good a game. Say, oh, well, if you like Monopoly, games have moved on even more, and there are some games that are even better.
Yeah, it's a game from the 30s,
Monopoly's a good game. Monopoly's forged in 1930s, forged in 1909, whenever it was made. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was one of the best games. But
not
you don't
anymore.
need to say all that. Don't need to be so dismissive. You can say, yeah, Monopoly's got a lot of good parts to it, but I enjoy games that are maybe a wee bit shorter, and there's a lot of more modern games that cater to that. However you want to approach it, just don't be saying, oh, you're not a gamer, or you're not a real gamer, or, oh, that's not a game, or that's... Sorry. Let's get back on track. Let me ask you some quick questions. Podcasts or videos?
Videos.
Okay. Videos or books?
Books.
What was the last book you read?
I am now reading the 4th part in Sabah Tahir's book. Okay, the last book that I finished reading was from Brandon Sanderson, his last book from Stormlight Archive.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know if you know the series.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I love them. Brandon Sanderson is amazing.
Do you prefer meeples or plastic miniatures?
Ooh. So I love painting miniatures, but I've come to the point, where you open a box with all the miniatures and they're still gray, that you're like, oh, I'm just going to put it on this huge pile of games I still have to paint. So, meeples.
Okay. So you're all about having the bright colors already there for you, something that you can just use more easily out the box. Do you art or rules?
Art or rules? Art.
Okay. And final question. What was the last board game you played? Was it the Paleo that you mentioned earlier?
No, I've played, it's the party game. Wavelength. Is it Wavelength?
Oh, yes. Wavelength.
Yes. Yeah,
by
I played that yesterday.
Wolfgang Warsch.
I think so, yeah. Just a friend brought it. Just gonna check it. Is it from Wolfgang? No, Alex Haig. Oh, Wolfgang Warsch also made it. Yes.
Thing. With
the thing you have to turn.
The dial. That's what some kinds of doing.
And you have to be like, and there's like a category, a normal, crazy, and you have to. Okay, and then the dial is somewhere, for example, here, and you only know it, and then you have to think about something that would be in that exact area between normal and crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it was the first time I played it.
That is one of my favorite games for sure.
Yeah, it was first time playing it, actually. It's very good, yeah.
So that's the end of the questionably quick questions. But as we go forwards, if you have something that you want to address about a particular thing that we're talking about, feel free to comment, feel free to ask questions, follow, all that good stuff. And now let's get into the main topic, which is what you've seen going down. And let me go back to the very start. What was your first ever memory?
My first ever memory?
Hmm.
Ooh. I think my first ever memory was when I was 3, and I just remember being on the boat where I grew up, and my mother cooking for all of the guests, and me just looking at how she was preparing everything, and just the smells. You always remember the smells of the kitchen.
How long did you stay on this boat? I mean, that you were
when my sister was
living
born
on this boat.
Yeah, for 3 years, yeah, until my sister was born, and then there was not really that enough place, so we moved. My parents bought a house on land, but I've even past that, I've obviously spent a lot of time there, even past when I was 3.
What attracts you to the water? Do you feel like you have an innate kind of sense of belonging?
Definitely, yeah. It just the weightlessness of it, I guess, when you're in the water, and just I also just love the smell of rivers and just the nature. I love swimming in open water. I've always done things on water, so water skiing, wakeboarding, and last summer I learned how to kite surf. That was a lot of fun. It's very scary in the North Sea.
Oh yeah,
that was very cool. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure.
And I also love this is a little bit of mindfulness, but like how the sun hits the water, and it's just like the most beautiful crystals you've ever seen. I can stare at it forever.
Oh,
the waves when the light hits it, it's just beautiful.
That sounds beautiful. So, when you were born on this boat and then you went onto the land, were you staying basically around Netherlands?
Yeah. So I've because of the boat, I've been all through the Netherlands, and also because my mother is from Germany, we went there like 3 to 5 times a year to Berlin, Potsdam, to Berlin, because that's where my family lives. So because of that, you're not really stuck to one place, I guess.
I mean, do you ever feel like you want to just get up and go to an entirely different continent?
No. I love when people do that. I will watch it from afar and see the photos of my friends. But no. I'm a very much, Dutch would say, a huismus. So someone that enjoys just staying on their couch and enjoying the people around them, having their cat on there. No. It's just scary for me.
That is fair. And yeah, so the child, homebody, maybe, Alex suggests. That might be the English word.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, huismus.
Going through school, did you enjoy education in general?
So yeah, I loved education. I loved reading. So I always was. I'm not that tall. I'm 157. And I always was just there somewhere in the class reading my Harry Potter books underneath the table while everyone was doing their classes in middle school. And the teachers were mostly okay with it because I got good grades. And I was just, and I had this little, of course, classes always. And then, of course, it amounted, of course, to bullying. I had to, in middle school, but also when I was in high school, and I had to change schools because of that. So I guess my experience from school in general wasn't that great. But later I did get some good friends. But, the education part, that I always enjoyed. Yeah, just learning.
So you enjoyed the learning, but not necessarily the environment. And I feel like so many people in board gaming do come from, maybe there's a lot of geeks and nerds and, people who do get bullied. I was certainly bullied quite a bit as a child. And
I think for me, what was always the hard part is I'm a pretty social being. And it's of course something that you find out later. I was very smart, but I was someone that just always did their own thing. So the teachers didn't really notice because I didn't get the highest grades. And that's of course mostly the thing that I know that from. And the hard thing for me always was I didn't feel part of the nerds, the nerd group that was like studying and all that kind of thing, because I was too social for that. But I also didn't really fit with the popular crowd. I was more of a free bird, that moved between all of the groups. And definitely when you're in the first part of middle school, part of making your identity is belonging to a certain group. And that's very important to children. So the fact that I was more a person that moved between them was good, because I could get along with a lot of people, but it was also my downfall because I didn't really belong to a group. And then you get like the bullying. I wasn't good at the group thing, because I was always like, well, why do we have to hate the teacher? It's just a person. It's an adult. You can just talk to them. And I didn't get that, I just didn't.
Yeah, it's like all this frustration coming from a terrible place. And I think communication is, like you say, just talk to them. This can solve so many issues. Just talk to them. Say, hey, what do you want? What matters to you? Or, hey, this is what matters to me. This is making me feel uncomfortable, whatever. And just
that's always
something
that I was always very good at, that the communicating thing. But that was also for the other kids was a little bit unsettling, because they were used, to not doing that, and more of the group thing, shutting other people out. And it just was not something that I was about. So because I didn't really fit in with the nerds and with, more the social kids, it was just a problem till I was like 16, and everyone was more like chilled out, and you didn't really have the group structure anymore, and you could just move around a little bit more. And then I thrived and did get a lot of friends, but it took a time.
It's going to be a difficult time, but of course, that's all in the past. And let's move towards games. You've written that you've been playing games since you can remember. Now, I would like to ask, what's the very first game you can remember in that case?
I think like playing Uno and Rummy Cup. So like mostly every night we played games at home, which were like Rummy. We played a lot of Rummy or Rummy Cup, which is with the stones. We had it with the stones, not the cards. And I just remember being able to be myself in those games and just really enjoying being able to think about everything and being on par with the adults, being able to play with them. And I just loved Rummy Cup. It was one of my favorite games, and also board games. I remember playing a lot of board games. Like Scrabble, I played that a lot with my dad. And it just was, and Double. I don't know, do you know Double? With the letters, and you have to shuffle it, and then you make as many words as you can.
I thought you said Double, like the new game that's also known as Spots It, published by Asmodee.
Oh no, did I call it the wrong thing? No, I don't mean Double. Maybe people can help me. Is it Scrabble?
Scrabble?
No,
is the one where it's on a grid?
No, it was like, maybe people can help me. It's like the game where you have these die with letters on it, and you have like this cup where you shuffle the Boggle. Thank you. Exactly. Boggle. Yeah. So that was most of the games that I played with my parents, like till I was I guess 10. That those were the first kind of games that we played a lot, but also like Haba games, because of course my mom is from Germany, and Haba was always very big. So we played all of these dexterity games from Haba. Holly Golly we played a lot. It's also a quickness game, a quick game.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you had a mix of the sort. Did you even play any of the lesser respected games, let's say, like Monopoly or Risk?
We did not play Risk, but we did play. We did have Monopoly. We had a Disney Monopoly. But I'm just also looking at my sister that's sitting over there. We did not really play Monopoly that often. We played it sometimes, but it's not really a family thing that we played a lot. It was more Rummy Cup, Nora?
Yeah?
It was more Rummy Cup that we played. It was not that much Monopoly. No. Well, we did have it, yeah.
It sounds like you definitely had a good variety of games, and so that would lead you almost seamlessly into continuing to always search out new games. Is that something that you also did as a family, saying, hey, let's try something new? And
we just got it was more of a natural thing, I guess. It's not really that it was like we are focused on playing games or anything like that, but it was just like a fun way to spend with family. And we did have a cupboard with all of these different games, but it was not really something that we were known for or anything. It just
Hello? Oh, I think that Anna might have just frozen. That is unfortunate.
We're back.
Oh, great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, you were saying that it wasn't something that you were doing. By the way, what's going on with this photo? Is this...
So this was in Center Parks, which is like a family park where you can stay, I guess, a holiday park. And this is where you could win prizes in the arcade hall. And in one of the prizes you could win at that arcade hall was One Night Werewolf. I was amazed by that.
That's really cool to see.
Yeah, between the crap that you could usually win, there was One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
It's a solid game. I got the Epic Battle, which I don't think is available in English. It's not on Board Game Geek, but I got it in France. It's a mixture of the werewolf, vampire, and Daybreak, and it's kind of like the greatest hits, if you know what I mean. So quite a fun idea. Alex says, One Night Ultimate Werewolf, one of my most played games. So here I'm showing the photos from Budget Spellin.
Yeah.
Can we get into how you started reviewing?
Or started board games really as a hobby, you mean?
No, started actually reviewing the board games.
So
not just playing them, but thinking, okay, I'm going to now go and tell other people, try to spread the word.
Yeah. So
Hello, Rob.
in the student in Leiden, there was also I guess in America you would call it a sorority or a student association, which was all about board games with about 500 members, and I was part of that. And because of that, you of course play more and more games. At a certain point, I watched a lot of Dice Tower. I went to Essen. Actually, the first Essen that I went to, I was like 17, 18, with my then boyfriend, and with my mother, who drove us on a Sunday to there, which is still one of the cutest things. It's just so cute and heartwarming that your mother would do that for you, you know. then I watched a lot of Dice Tower. I was, one of those people that were like in line at Essen to get your one of your games autographed. Totally, excited. And I know that they wanted more female contributors. And I had already started also with budget spelen. And I've always loved doing creative stuff and writing. So that's why I started with budget spelen.
So budget spelen, it was always about board games.
Yeah, it was always about board games. The main website first was also from Budget Gaming, and that's also a very big community website. And then they wanted to do a sister website all about board games, and that's when I got in from the beginning for the board game part. And I've always found it important to show, even because I started this when I was about 21. And then I already found it important also because of what I've already told, me feeling not really fitting in anywhere, between the social and the more nerdy people. Showing that board games is for everyone. You don't have to fit in one of those categories, to enjoy games. You don't have to be overly nerdy and play all of these heavy games or only play these social games like Werewolf, drinking games. You can be somewhere in between there. And also be a girl, of course, and be young. Be a 21-year-old girl that enjoys board games. So I found that very important to show that it's for everyone. And that's why I started. And also with the Dice Tower, I started a little bit later, about half a year later. And they just also wanted females. And I was like, I can do this. Why not? Let's just try it and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I would absolutely agree with Alex. You do meet lots of nerdy people who, despite being nerdy, are social. And it's interesting because I don't want to say, you have to have a certain degree of intelligence, because board gaming is for everyone. And, Happy Salmon, you don't have to have much intelligence to play that. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to hurt you in the game, and no matter how smart you are, you can still have a laugh with it. But yeah, I would agree 100%. So then you apply to be part of... before we get into the whole Dice Tower and budget spelen thing, let me ask you the questions that I've got here. So we've talked about how you began. You just wanted to guide people towards things. Is that the same reason why you continue to do it, just to bring more people into the fold and share the joy?
Yeah, I mean, when I started playing, like the modern board games, I was like 17, 18, and was inspired by, I watched a lot of YouTube, definitely in the early days. And then I saw Will Wheaton with Tabletop. And that was for me the thing, like, I want to experience this, what he is experiencing. This looks like so much fun. And all of the first games that I bought are all from Tabletop. I still have all of them. Like Dixit and Ticket to Ride, Small World, Zombie Dice, all of the games that they played there. And then I've just, because of course I still had the boat and for my parents, and it's a very big boat. So I started organizing game nights there with friends from high school, and just more and more people tagged along and came to play Dixit, Werewolf, all of these kind of games.
Sounds joyous.
So to answer your question, I started already very early, sharing the joy of board games.
And that's still your main reason today. When you think about, why am I going to make my next review? Why am I going to... I mean, do you think that you'll continue doing this forever? Is this now a big part of your identity?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, because, you don't normally think about when you're going to do a review, why do I do this? But I think the things that you do, it's like an intrinsic motivation, I guess, when we talked about, and I do think it will still be a part of my, because I'm also, I think, playing is so important for people, and it doesn't need to be with a board game, but just doing something that gives you joy. And for me, just sharing that joy, that's for me very important.
That's lovely. And you've written a wee bit here about what you think is a good review, about separating your opinion from your professional opinion to make sure that other people can make up their own minds. So even if you like it, then someone might say, hey, okay, I understand why Anna likes it. This is not the game for me. Or, okay, I understand why Anna doesn't like it, but those things, I might still like it, and letting people make up their minds.
Yeah.
Is there anything, what else would you say goes into a good review?
So I think a good review, the most important thing for me, still, what I've already said, is being able to separate personal from professional opinion, and making sure that you explain why you like a game. Because you see, a lot of people fall in the trap when they review games because they're so excited about a game, fanboying or fangirling or whatever, talking about it and just being excited. And that's, of course, something that you can always do. But when you want to make a really good review, where people can, and with a good review, I mean review in the way that people can make up their own minds as a goal, then I think it is very important that you explain why you think it's good, or why you think the rulebook is written bad, or why you think a turn goes slow, whatever. Again, so people can make up their own minds for why, if that is also important to them, or if they think this would happen in their situation, and if it would apply to them. If you don't explain that, then it holds no value. It is only a subjective thing that you're saying, and it doesn't get an objective statement, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And without that, you cannot really make up your own mind as a viewer, or as a listener, or as a person that is reading a review.
And I guess the follow-up question, I mean, obviously, none of these things are different whether it is video or podcast or written, or I'm trying to think if there's a fourth category of review. Like if you do a comic review, like if you draw a comic about a game, I mean...
Or showing it, demoing it.
Yeah. You talk about separating the professional opinions. I'm just going to throw up some things that you've done here, but
musical reviews, like Dave Luza.
Does Dave do musical reviews? I thought Dave just sang about games.
Yeah, I guess.
Because, I mean, would that be counted as a review? I don't know anyone who's actually done musical reviews. But apparently Dave does both. There you go.
There you go.
So I need to investigate more. But yes, what do you mean by that professional opinion and that personal opinion? Is it purely that you mean, hey, professional opinion, I'm thinking more about other people? Is that what it means?
No, I mean, like what I talked about just now, you have objective reasons why you maybe don't like, or maybe why it's good or bad, a game. But it can still mean that you, despite of these things, that you enjoy it or not enjoy it. That you think, okay, this game makes sense. The rules are implemented correctly and everything like that. But I still don't enjoy it. And those, I think, are two different things that you also have to talk. So, for example, I did a review with my sister of Paris, which is a 2-player game. I think it's somewhere there. And me and my sister, we did not enjoy the game. But we saw that it is a good game. So the professional opinion, it's a good game. It's a good 2-player game, but it was too mean for us. We do not like mean games where you have to take away something from another player so you get more points. We just don't enjoy that. But that doesn't mean that the game is a bad game. So that is what I mean with personal and professional opinion.
I mean, you can't be 100% objective, but you have to be maybe a little bit wider reaching. And what you say about examining those whys and framing it, okay, this is what I think of as these reasons.
Yeah. And also just explaining it to people, you know, what I said, you have to try to explain the why, because that is when it gets interesting. Not the statement, but the why behind it. That's what people can form an opinion on. And that's another thing I always find also important is there are also, you know, especially on Instagram, when we talk about reviews, most of the reviews that they do on there, it's more of a rephrasing of the rule book. And I also find with reviewing, it's also important to get across the spirit of the game. So, you know, the feeling. Because it can get, definitely with video, I mean, and with explaining how the game works, there can be a lot of a review, 90%, that is just explaining the rules. And then at the end, I liked it, you know, end of the review. But for me, that's not really a review, you know. The rules are important, but it's not like when you're finished reading the review that it's like, okay, and okay, I can play the game. That's not, you know, the purpose of a review. The rules, you have to tell them so people have a frame to get what the game is about. You know, the feeling when you're playing the game and the world that it's trying to create or whatever. And I also think that is very important. That's just not rephrasing what the rules are, but using the rules as a tree for understanding what the game is about so that people can get what you're talking about.
Yeah, it definitely has to be. It's difficult though, because I'm going to be honest, sometimes I do read, if there's a review from someone that I don't know about a game that I'm interested in. Okay, let's say there was a review from Tom Vassell and a how to play from Rodney Smith. I might actually watch the Tom Vassell review, just the first half of it, to be like, okay, this gives me the overview of the game. And there is value in that for sure, but that's not, I mean, it does kind of give you a vague sense of, okay, these are the, because when you explain the game, you're not explaining how to play the game. You're explaining what you think is the important thing of the game. You're explaining what you see as the interesting parts of the game. And so that itself, because through editing, because of that editorial control of these rules, because it doesn't have to be 100% of it, it's maybe the interesting half or whatever. It's like, okay, like maybe with Happy Salmon, you might explain exactly how to play it. So it might be like, okay, once you've listened to the review, you can now go and play it because it's so simple. But there's, for it to be actually, here's the review, here's what I think and what is done well, it kind of feels like you are in editing and saying, yes, this is part of the rules, but this is the interesting part. That is almost as valuable as the bit that comes later. I don't know. It feels like, from a holistic sense, it's all mixed together. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, I get what you mean. You know, you have to tell of the rules what the goal is of the game. So that's always, but that's even, you know, deeper. How do you demo a game? It's always, you have to give, or how do you explain things? It's always important to give people the tree where they can, at least that's how we say, you say it in Dutch. You give them the tree where they can hang up all the different, you know, branches of information. So the first tree is always, what is the goal in the game? You know, with Happy Salmon, you have to be the first to get rid of all your cards. Okay, now I have the tree. How do I get there? How do I become the first? Okay, that is by doing all of these exercises, all of these things, different
activities. Yeah.
activities, you know.
I mean, English is a very imprecise language.
And then actually you have already explained a big part of the game, you know.
I'm trying to remember who it was, if it was you or someone else that I was watching a review of Ticket to Ride Amsterdam, and you was that?
That could be.
I think it was, I'm sorry about my memory, but it was two people kind of saying, oh yeah, this is a very normal name for the place, and okay, having a little thing. I think it might have been you and your sister.
That was me. Yeah, it was me and my sister. Yes.
Okay, it was you and your sister. And it was like, oh, this is quite fun because you bring that little bit of personality to it. You bring that extra awareness. And I think that with a review, the service that you can provide is as an expert in, okay, you've investigated what other people think. I'm not going to say if you write a review, you have to go out and read every other review. But what I am saying is that it makes sense that if you actually want to do a really good review, maybe skim them just to see, okay, is there something that I've missed? Or, okay, can I frame it this way? And maybe if I'm doing something about a serious topic, I might look into that a tiny bit more. But also, we've got the expert knowledge of having played so many games, having understood these mechanisms. And if we've got expert information, let's bring that in.
Yeah, well, that's also the different part of why I sometimes bring my sister Nora in, is just because I am the expert opinion, and sometimes it's interesting because Nora doesn't play board games, only sometimes with me, is to hear her perspective on the game, because when you've played that many games, you sometimes forget, you know, the more of the innocent look on things. And how it comes across for her, certain things, and how the rules are, and it keeps it refreshing and keeps you on your toes. For me, to hear those things, and it also adds value.
Also, having said that, I imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, but in recent months, I'm guessing that you yourself are not playing games that much outside of who is in your house.
Yeah,
does that
has been kind of hard.
How have you, if you don't mind me asking, have you addressed that challenge with reviewing?
That is definitely interesting because I always try to play a game as many times as it's needed with different player counts, and that has been a little bit harder. Definitely in the last couple of months because now we have a full lockdown now. But also, how do you say it when you cannot go past 9 o'clock? We cannot go outside.
Curfew.
Exactly. So since then, it has been very hard. But also, I've not been reviewing that many games because it's just how can you review a game when you cannot really give it the time and attention it needs? So I've definitely had to scale back on that, or pick games that are more suited, like My City.
Yeah, let's talk about the Dice Tower a wee bit, because you joined that, and obviously Budget Spell, and it's a group in itself. Let's ponder the nature of these groups. Do you think it's something that everybody should be potentially seeking to join a group like Punchboard Media or Budget Spelling or Dice Tower if they want to grow as a media creator? Obviously, there are many other things around. Do you think that with Dice Tower specifically, do the contributors all even know each other because it's such a big sprawling thing? And yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Yeah, you know, I did Budget Spelen and Dice Tower mostly because I'm in a field where I know that I'm not gonna have much time, mostly in the future, and now because for people that don't know, I am in my last year to become a doctor, and after this, I'm going to further my education to become a GP. So you know that you have to make long work days and work hours, and it's just the reality of it. So you don't always have time, to give to nurture a channel into being and give it all the time and attention it deserves. So for me, it was also a thing of being able to join an already existing network and sharing my views without having to with what works the best for me, with the time constraints and everything. I'm not really a person that needs to be the only one front and center. I like it to be a community. And so that's always also with Budget Spelen, which you also see. We have a lot of other people that work with us. And also Dutch Joda, who makes now also videos for the Budget Spelen channel. And it's always been also important for me because it's not just about me. It's about, the helping each other out and giving people interesting views and information. So it was never my goal to make like a very successful YouTube channel on my own or something, and be out there. I just want to talk about stuff.
Ooh, Dutch. Yeah. Dutch Yoda and Dutch people in general. Woo, all the Dutch people.
So I think it can be good to join, just people, like-minded people that can help you with this kind of... Hi, Dutch. Like-minded people and do the thing you like together. And giving each other information, helping each other. And what with the Dice Tower, of course, because I also live in Europe, I've seen some of the contributors at Essen, maybe at UKGE, but and of course we have a group where we chat with each other. But it is kind of also because of Europe, you do feel a little bit more of an outsider, of course, because you're not always there and always seeing people. I cannot really make those personal connections except, over media like this.
But there's so many people like in Australia and UK and Netherlands and I get that you are not able to go to Gen Con or Dice Tower convention or BGG Con, but yeah, I guess no one, when it's a big global thing, no one can meet literally everyone else in real life. Do you think that everyone is stronger together? I mean, I put that as a slightly flippant question, but yeah, do you believe that it is always true?
It's always it's like a question you cannot be 100% against that or or say yes to that, I guess. But I do think in general we are stronger together if you avoid groupthink.
So it's not say, hey, you need to do it exact. And let me actually ask a wee bit more about the Dice Tower. Is there a mandate for a certain style of content? I know that Tom Vassal does require that you don't say certain words, or profanity, or maybe but beyond obviously making it appropriate for a PG audience, is there anything else that you need to do with something like this?
No. And that's always also something I find important to stress, that even though it is that big as it is not like Tom finds, and Dice Tower in general, they find it very important that they give people an audience, or they give, you can do you. So I've never had that over the 4 years that I've done this, that they were like, no, this is not right, or something like that. The only thing that he finds very important is time. So it cannot be too long, because people have an attention span of a baby chicken, so it has to be as short as possibly can be. So that's the only thing that he always stresses, but it's not like when you do a longer...
I would kind of challenge that nothing the Dice Tower produces is as short as it possibly can be. When there's people doing, 1 minute reviews or 3 minute reviews, and I'm not sure I've seen stuff from the Dice Tower that is as short as that. And I could say, well,
he did like with the Rules Girl, like what is it, 3 minute reviews. That was also on the Dice Tower.
I didn't realize that was part of the Dice Tower. Thanks for correcting me.
Yeah. No, but that's also the important thing,
But, I mean, like, you can't. I guess it's like everything's contextual. Like in the same way that you can't say we're all stronger together. We can't say a flat. It's got to be as short as it can be, because you can always edit it a wee bit more. Even those 1 minute reviews, I reckon, if you really worked hard, kind of taking out a fraction of a second here and there, you could get them down to at least 50 seconds without anyone noticing.
Yeah, and I think it's just more of he tries to make sure that people... Yeah, done. Okay, bye. This was my review of Bees. Yeah. He just stresses this because most of the time you don't think about these things, and I do agree when you try to edit it of course not that it's too that you're saying only 2 words, and most of the time is better, especially with things like Board Game Breakfast. Then it's very important that you stay between 2 and 3 minutes, for example.
Yes.
And of course there are segments that are allowed to go beyond that when the subject just cannot be put down to 2-3 minutes, be condensed to that. But it's just something that I think I wouldn't even call it a rule, but more like guideline that you keep in mind. But I think the most important takeaway that I want people to get from this, that it's just that mostly anything is allowed as long as you don't swear.
Yeah. I mean, I will accept, as Sate says, yep, I am being difficult, but that's what you come for.
No, it has to be interesting. We have to have conversation.
Challenging, difficult questions.
Exactly. No problem with that.
And like when you look back at everything you've done, do you feel a lot of pride? Do you have anything that you think? I mean, I look at this, just the frame setup. It's got the lovely theme. The camera angles really spot on.
Yeah.
With the box, the boards, the flowers, the thematic.
This one I'm very proud of, because also this is now the first video that I've tried to do something a little bit new, where I just explain the game without while I am reviewing, so that it fits more of that frame set that I've already said, that it's just more one thing, and you're not just statically only showing the game, and it fits more in the review thing, and it's not then watch it played. So I'm actually proud of this video, because it's a new way for me, and a new, you're evolving. But it's also, I'm only 27 now. So I'm still one of the youngest people, I guess, which in the industry, or how else you would call it. So I think I'm just proud that I did it. That's the thing that I'm most proud of, that I just had the guts to say, yeah, I'm going to email these people. Maybe I'm just 21. Because now when I think about it, I'm just like, how did you think, Anna, this was going to work, Well, I'm just very proud that I just did it. And it got me where I am today, that I'm, already have this wonderful website with a lot of people that come in every day that want to learn more about board games. And I've met all of these wonderful people. And I just took that leap. I think that's what I'm most proud of.
I mean, I think it's justifiable, and I think he should be. I mean, sorry, should is a strong word, but I think, yeah, again, congratulations on everything you've achieved. Like when you look towards the future, do you feel like there's certain changes that you'd like to make, or do you have any questions in your mind that you've been pondering for the website or for getting everything out there? Anything more that you want to add to your plate?
At one thing, I just I'm always thinking about how can you make it more approachable. So definitely what I would want to do with the website, it is very much more text-based right now. And I just want it to be more appealing still to new players. And we've reached now that point that we're one of the biggest websites in the Netherlands. So now we're very much thinking about what can we do next. Because now you have like this position, and now you have to think about, okay, now that I'm here, where do I want to go next? And I think one of those things is, of course, still working together with other people and giving also people a place to be on the website and making more of the connections. So, for example, last year, you have like the biggest board game fair in Holland is always in November after Spiel. And last year we did a bring and buy stand there for the fair. So that was like the bring and buy stand from the fair.
What date is it? Do you think it will happen this year?
Well, we'll see. And it was a big success, and that was also something that I really enjoyed doing, because then you're not only a website anymore, but you're like a community that also helps the board game community as a whole, and events, and people know that they can trust on you, to help them with their event. And I love that was a step that we were able to take. And that is something that, people will maybe know you for, to help the community.
Yeah, kind of reaching out and making those real physical in-person connections.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this has been such a great chat, and thank you for being very open with everything. What do you see, like, so you're in your 5th year of studying to become a GP, is that correct?
In my 5th year to become a doctor. So after that, I still have to do the GP, which is 3 years.
Okay, wow. So let me actually just quickly ask you, why medicine?
Why medicine? Because it has all of the subjects. So you have some biology, but you also have the social and empathetic connection that you make with people. You can teach people and help people with their health. You can help people in their most vulnerable times, and be a part of that in a helpful way. And I think that combination of science, more the biological thing of it, and the social aspect of it, that's why I love it.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the picture.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you think that, watch this space, and do you have anything else that you would like to say right now that occurs to you before we start wrapping up?
I think I just loved being here, and I love the questions that you asked.
Oh.
Just being able to really think about things and trying to express it. Of course, English is not my first language, so sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult to say things in the way you want them to say them. But I always enjoy, thinking about the why. So, for example, the question you asked about why do you review? I think that's interesting to think about. It's not something you think about every day. It's more a subconscious thing. So I really enjoyed this, Beth.
I'm very glad to hear. And yeah, congratulations to everything you've achieved. You're right. I mean, I guess also Emma is. I mean, let's not make it a competition. Let's not be like, oh, haha, I'm so young. I mean, let's not be like making other people.
Everyone is great.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's brilliant in their own way.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's not gatekeep. If you had anything that you wanted to say to someone, to say, hey, please do this. If you had anything that you wanted to say to designers or publishers, whether it's tiny people like myself, or whether it's larger people like Ravensburger, or is there anything that you wish that people would do when in interactions with reviewers?
I think I really have to think about this question, because there's always practical things. What is like a big thing?
Yeah, like the practical things, like I've read a lot about, make sure you have that social media pack, and when you're sending a game, make sure you've got the your own address and contact details on it, because so you don't have to go searching for the email and whatnot.
I think if you wanna, as a publisher, even if it's big or small, I always like when they ask about what your target audience, or what your ideology, I guess, is behind what you're doing is, because then one is you show interest in that. And that makes it immediately for a more meaningful connection that you're making with the other person. And secondly, you get information that's actually very valuable, because you can see how people see themselves and what they think is important. And then you can make your own judgment for if this is important also for you as a publisher. And you immediately remember something about them. If they, of course, express it in an interesting way and not just, I like kids' games. But I always like it when, I enjoy it when publishers do that. Just more of what does your website stand for, or something like that, or does your Instagram or whatever you're reviewing on stand for.
So in that case, let me very quickly ask, what is your target audience and what does your website stand for?
Yeah, I think it's also already coming into the screen here. To introduce young adults to the wonderful world of board gaming. We have an audience from 20 to 45, most of them. And it's mostly people that come from the world also of video gaming. That's what they grew up with the couch co-op games on the NES or whatever, and they want to have that feeling back, and that's why they come back they come to board games, and they want to learn all about that. So that's what our website is about, to cater to them.
So you will review pretty much, I mean, what wouldn't you review?
We don't really review RPGs. We don't review like kids games. So like family game would be okay, like Habba, which for 5 to 8-year-olds, but really for educational games, that's not
So
really
if
something
it's
we
Rhino
review.
Hero, okay, adults can enjoy it. If it's
more family.
Monster Laundry, I don't know, is that too silly? Do you know Monster Laundry?
No, I don't know that game.
So in Monster Laundry, you have an actual rope, and then everyone has to put it behind them, and then you have little clothes pegs. Then you have to pick monsters off the floor and hang them onto.
Oh, I love this. This looks so cute.
It's completely ridiculous. Monster Laundry. I've got it in my thing, and I got it from Indie Game Alliance, and it's just so much fun. I don't know if I could play it at a convention, but yeah. Would you review that?
Yeah, I would review that. Definitely. So it's more like really, educational games for like 3-year-olds. What I'm talking about, those kind of games, and I guess like big war games, like because that is just doesn't really fit our target audience.
Would you review Gloomhaven?
Yeah, we reviewed that because that's also a game that a lot of people now get into the hobby. We have a lot of people on the website. The first game that they bought is Gloomhaven, which amazes me.
That's just ridiculous.
Choices.
I mean, oh yeah, fair enough. I mean, like, I heard a story. Okay, someone went into a shop, and they weren't really into board games, and someone asked, it was someone in Scotland that I know, and he said, "Well, what's this Gloomhaven all about?" And they said, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite game. It's the
best game."
And then he said, "Okay, well, I've not played the," and then apparently they just went and bought it, and then the person that I was hearing from said, "Well, if it had been me, I would have at least, pulled up my phone, looked up something on the internet." But they came into the shop, they had no idea what this game was, and then they spent 140 quid and then left with this copy of Gloomhaven.
Wow. It baffles me. How could you? But it's like they don't know, and then they see, oh, this is the #1 game, so I have to have this one. This is the best one. So let's go there.
I can sort of understand that. When I started, I was super excited to play Puerto Rico because at the time that was the #1, and I was like, oh my god, #1, yes, I definitely want to play this.
Let's do this.
This is my life's already. I've played a #1. That means tick, tick, tick. It's like,
it will never be any better.
Yeah, and then you suddenly... Do you feel like you are... I mean, yeah, it comes across that you're not the typical board game geeker. I can't even bring myself to ask that question.
What question?
The question was, do you think you are the typical board game geek person?
I mean, I guess maybe for I always try to be myself, but I guess I do really like video games. So I am very geeky, and I like reading board games, reading books. So I am very geeky. But I also like going for a pint and going to festivals and partying. So in that aspect, I think I'm a little bit more atypical. But it's all everything is on a scale and a spectrum. So
yeah, and let's not pretend that there is a. I mean, then we have to decide, okay, what is the typical board game geek player? And then we fall down a can of worms and we start stereotyping people, and that's not healthy. And
I'm trying to stay away from that now.
Yeah. Okay, one final question before we properly wrap up. Okay, so Budget Spellin, I see that you're selling stuff. You're selling board games, you're selling Lego, you're selling Pokemon CCG, and I guess this... When did this shop parts of the websites come in? When did you start thinking about monetizing it?
So it's not a shop. We show all of the different shops that sell board games, or we try if they have a feed. So it's not that we sell them ourselves. We don't at the moment. We don't even get money for when they are referred through us through their website, but it's just more of. So if, for example, you fill in Ticket to Ride or something like that, you can just see all of the places that sell it and which shop has, for example, the lowest price, and also people can leave behind their reviews for certain shops, so other people can know how they liked how the order was received and stuff like that, how it was sent, and if the shop is any good, and you can count on them.
Okay, I totally misunderstood. I thought that this was... So in that case, let me ask a different question. Bye, Rob. Lovely to
Bye-bye.
have you. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
So, do you think about monetizing this part? The reviews?
Yeah, so the website that this was based on is of course it is that one is monetized. It has a lot more. It has a lot more unique visitors per month because it's video gaming. But it's of course something that we're thinking about. But we're more thinking about a way that would make sense for our website. So, for example, there are a lot of people now that through our website sell their games secondhand, and through the forums that are on the website. So we're thinking about, like on this page, add an extra segment where people, where you can see instead of the names of a board game shop, the name of a certain user and for how much they're selling it. And we're thinking about like a little bit like with Board Game Geek that you get a certain percentage of that, because that would make more sense for the website. Because I think also with monetizing, you have to think about what matches your website and not just do something one size fits all, you know?
No, that makes a lot of sense. You've got to, and I guess it feels like, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm all for the Dice Tower. You know, it's great that Tom Vassell and Rodney Smith and certain people are able to do this full time and be compensated for their time and effort, because they do a lot of work.
It's their job.
Yeah, but then I don't know. It's always a difficult question.
Yeah,
it feels like maybe that's the conversation. If you are up for it, I would love to have you on again, maybe in a month or 2 months or something. Maybe it as part of a group discussion. Maybe a few different reviewers talking about, you know, that motivation and the money aspect and all sorts of questions, because there's so much that we could talk about. And there's so much that we have talked about. I mean, of course, don't get me wrong. So we have talked about My City and Paleo and why Netherlands is brilliant and Amsterdam is cool, but Leiden is even prettier, apparently.
And you should come visit.
Message received loud and clear. All about the water and the flatness and the canals and the nature of co-op games and comparing pandemics to the Second World War as a board game theme, that maybe one affects you in a personal manner, being brought up on a boat and having this affiliation with the water, school and bullying and playing Boggle and Rummikub and not so often Monopoly, which is very unusual, and just going into this whole thing so naturally, sharing your own joys, bringing people into the boat, and what a good review is, talking about having that why is this game good, not just it is good, and separating your own personal experiences and your own personal playthrough of the game with kind of trying to put yourself in other people's shoes, trying to frame other people's possible opinions. Having Nora on for, you know, a fresh opinion, and talking about groups and talking about what Tom Vassell dictates, which by the sounds of it, what you want to take away is not very much at all. Just you can't say certain words, which I am a little bit freer on this show, because obviously it's so difficult when it's a live stream. And yeah, I know that there are things with Dice Tower contributors and certain people, but when you have a guest on, it's like, well, if someone says a word that you disagree with, then what can you do? You can't. You
Good
can
luck.
only react afterwards. And yeah, asking about, as a publisher, as a designer, if you're getting in touch with someone, and I think this is always something that everyone says, if you are going to send out a review copy or offer a review copy, look at what games they've covered in the past, but maybe that person might be open to something new. Let's say that person has only covered war games. Well, if it's literally only war games and they've done 100 reviews, well, then you probably don't want to send them Happy Salmon or any of...
Would be funny, though.
You know what? Do you know, what is it, The Dragon's Tomb?
No.
So Dragon's Tomb does the videos with the fake, this is how you play it.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah, I've seen them.
And then Dragon's Tomb has a few videos where someone sends them a product and it's like, this, you have no idea who I am. And you are just sending me this product. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to review it in my normal style, but I'm going to pretend that it's a board game. So someone sets them a canvas and they spent like about 5 minutes saying, oh, this is a terrible board game. It's very interesting, this box, but everything has fallen out. There were no components. What's going on with this? And then the other joke is that as part of the video, then they show the other person's reaction where they say, hey, I think you're confused. This isn't a board game. He said, oh, you can't fool me. You're telling me that this is an art print, but
you crazy person.
Anyway, but it's been a lovely discussion. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you.
If people want to check me out, I am stuffbybez.com, stuffbybez.bickers.com, twitter.com/stuffbez, instagram.com/stuffbybez, twitch.tv/stuffbybez, where you can see me 10 a.m. UK time every day for the next 6 days, and then I'll be taking a wee bit of a holiday. YouTube.com/stuffbybez and stuffbybez.com/discord if you want to come in and share pictures of cats or anything else. So, where can we find you?
You can find me on Budgetspelen, which is primarily Dutch, so that's for all the Dutchies here. But I do my English reviews on the Dice Tower, where you can find the same games that I review in Dutch in English.
So don't go
there. So you can find me on Instagram and a website and on YouTube.
But lots of that stuff is in Dutch.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is in Dutch.
But you can also be found generally all over the internet. Like if you're looking for, hey, who's reviewed Ticket to Ride Amsterdam and you want to find a good review of it? Well, hey, now I know what the difference is. And I was like, you know, that sounds pretty cool, but I don't think I'm going to get it. But yeah, anyway, that is basically everything. So we all have to learn Dutch, says Xate.
Yeah.
That is one possibility.
Solution. We're done. Just all learn Dutch.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, of course, Anna Wassenburn. You have been amazing. It has been a delight. I would love to have you on again at some point for a group discussion with stuff. And thank you, everyone in chat. You have all been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not going to read out all your names. And what is goedenavond?
Goedenavond.
Goedenavond.
It's good evening.
So yeah, there you go. Sorry, Aqua, you'll get better. At least you know the words now. Actually, this okay. I know I keep saying I'm going to finish up, but one final clip. There's this one person, I can't remember their name. They do this one thing where they say, okay, by the way, here's my words in Finnish. Have you considered doing that? Like saying, hey, here's how we say meeple in Dutch. We just say meeple. And then here's how you say have a good game in Dutch. And then you tell people how you say have a good game or whatever. Because like all those language courses are terrible. I mean, they never tell you how to say draw a card. I've done all of
and that's the only word we need.
Yeah. Draw a card, take a turn, you know, roll the dice. These are the kinds of important
things. Yeah, or maybe just, you know, also German for that one time when you go to Spiel and the people that explain the games to you only speak German.
And no, it's not Dutch Yoda, it's someone else. But I was just going to say maybe that's something to consider.
Yeah,
but
that would be funny.
Final section where I encourage everyone who's watching, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on YouTube, it's over to you. What are you up to? You can share anything you want to. So let me know, what are you looking forward to? Especially in these days and times, it's good to have something that you're looking forward to, something that you're excited about, something else. Yeah, I get to do this. Or maybe you want to say, hey, I'm trying to do this. Or it's a hope or ambition, whether it's exciting or boring or serious or frivolous. Let us know. I am doing a wee stream tonight with someone else, and I think it's around 7. I'm going to actually do a wee link, and I hear someone else is doing a wee stream. Maybe you can watch both of them. But I'm going to be doing BBBB tonight, and with Alex. That's going to something I'm looking forward to. I think I'm going to allow myself today to have a special treat. I'm going to do a pick up and deliver thing to get a bubble tea.
Nice. I love bubble tea. What flavors do you want to get?
I don't know. I notice you say it's flavors and not just singular, so 1 cup is not enough for you. That's what I'm hearing. You're saying I should get 2.
Yeah, mostly you have to, of course, think about, okay, what kind of tea do I want and what do I want in the bubbles?
Well, I'll tell you, last time I went with, I didn't go for tea actually. Last time, they offer this slightly crazy strawberry and avocado smoothie. And I was like, strawberry and avocado? What's that all about? I had it. It was delicious with the classic tapioca bubbles.
I don't know if I trust you. Avocado? Doesn't it get slimy?
I mean, there wasn't much taste of avocado. I'm going to be honest. Like, I basically only tasted the strawberry, but like maybe there was a tiny hint of like, okay.
Sorry, Will.
And
we got to bubble tea. Yeah.
No, we're stopping. We're making cats.
Goed je van de koning?
Okay. And Sate is streaming tonight. Sate is the MC, whilst Runa, Didi, and Duchess craft based on Calico. And so, yeah, check that out on 4 Weird Sisters at 8 p.m. UK time. So, yeah. Is who making up cats? Is who making cats? I don't understand. But what are you up to, Anna? What is on the agenda for the weekend?
So there's a Pokemon Go event today. So probably we'll go outside and play some Pokemon Go. And last weekend, we got a PlayStation 5 for Valentine's Day. So, and I've not had time yet to play, so I will probably play some on the PlayStation 5.
Any particular games or?
No, just enjoying seeing it, staring at it lovingly.
And I am looking, and apparently, so firstly, I'm streaming with Alex at 7:30 UK time. So that is something that you can check out at 7:30 p.m. UK time. And then at 8 p.m. UK time, you've got Xates who wants to make challenges, and people have all sorts of things. Alex has a Ravensburger meeting later. That sounds super exciting. Congratulations on that. I think I know which game this is for. I hope you have a wonderful time of it, and I'm super happy for you. Yeah. Cool peeps. So if you want to check out my next streams, then check that out. I am going to be missing some days in the next couple of weeks, so please check out the calendar and that will tell you when I'm having a break. So just to go cover very quickly the next week. Tomorrow I am reviewing some things from Board Game Arena. Monday I'm having Ian Palerval from Board Game Arena to discuss the nature of Board Game Arena after the Asmodee takeover. That will be an in-depth discussion. So ask all your biting Board Game Arena questions. We'll be discussing playtesting with Alan Paul, Matthew Dunstan, and Rita Model on Tuesday, playing Balanceable in the evening, meeting Paul Stapleton and on Wednesday and then Thursday before my Friday break. So remember, no show on Friday, but Thursday will be an epic stream with the 300th episode. So remember, all that's left to say is thank you, share, spread the word. We are going to raid someone. If you are familiar with Twitch, I try to spend 30 seconds looking at someone to say, okay, what's going on? Where can we raid? Who is doing cool stuff? Oh my god, there's basically Captain Books. Okay, let's check them out. There's no board game me people, but if you like music, then let's check out Captain Books. For now, there is only one thing left to say. And that thing, time has come. It's sad times, Anna. We have to say it.
Bye-bye.
Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. And bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye.
Doei doei.
Bye-bye.
Tschüss tschüss.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiederschnitzel.
Sayonara. Kodafes. Au revoir.